Welcome to the Millennial Rant, a podcast about whatever's bothering me today. With topics ranging from politics to pop culture, there's a rant to cover everyone. For more Millennial Rant content, you can join me on the web at millennialrant.com. So this is going to be a fairly short video as far as, my videos go. Not because I don't necessarily have a lot to say on the subject, but mostly because it bothers me that there's something to be said on it at all. And that being the subject of Thanksgiving, right? Thanksgiving is tomorrow. It's a really great holiday. Spend the time together with your family, being grateful for what we have, and, sharing good food, sharing good faith, fun, friends, family, all that good stuff. But there's like this whole, as there always is, politically correct crowd that is upset by the idea of celebrating Thanksgiving, being this idea that we are oppressing Native Americans and pushing them down and like dredging up bad history type of things. And what? I'm not going to be the one to say that America has a perfectly pristine history when it comes to our dealings with the Native Americans, because no, for sure not. There are definitely things that happened that should never have happened to anyone. Now, you could get into the whole historical idea of you can't really blame people for living in the world that they live in at the time that they live in it type of thing. But that's a little bit more, I think, deep and esoteric than a lot of people can deal with when it comes to their feelings, right? So, you can't always logic away feelings. Sometimes you just have to acknowledge that the feelings exist and move on. So, fine, there are people who are upset with the idea that we celebrate Thanksgiving and that it has a history with the relations between the colonies and the American natives, and the whole, oppression thing that happened. And I mean, again, there were things that happened that should never have happened. Bad history on both sides, honestly. And when you're living in a world where people have this kill or be killed mentality, this conquer or be conquered mentality, we can't really relate to that because we live in a time of history that's entirely unprecedented. As far as we know, based off of our recorded history, there's never been a time such as ours. So it's easy to look back and judge people for the times that they lived in. But setting all of that aside, I don't understand why there would be pushback against a day designated for thanks, regardless of its historical context, right? And it honestly, as far as dealings with Native Americans go, the historical context of Thanksgiving is really not that bad. In fact, it's actually a good relationship between the early pilgrims who colonized Plymouth Rock and who, had good relations with the local natives, and the fact that they came together to share their bounty, to appreciate one another, to recognize their differences but also their similarities, and to be able to come together on the ground that they shared in common. That's a beautiful thing. And why would we not want to carry that spirit forward into the present? And so, yeah, I have a problem with people having a problem with Thanksgiving. Just genuinely have a problem with it, because if nothing else, just have it as a day to recognize that there are things to be grateful for, that there are people in your life that you're glad to have met and to be able to spend time with, that you're grateful that you have food that you can eat in great abundance and excess, because let's be honest, this is America and that's how we roll. It's a day to be grateful, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with recognizing that. There's nothing wrong with celebrating that, regardless of who you are and where you're from. I've had people who aren't even from the United States say that they love the idea that we have Thanksgiving, that it's something that we put time and effort and thought into. And, depending on where you fall on the Christmas scale of before or after Thanksgiving, I can see why it might be a hindrance to some who want to be uber, festive for Christmas. I'm not necessarily excluding myself from that category, although I was certainly raised with the idea that Christmas starts on Saturday after Thanksgiving, but that's neither here nor there. So again, not much to be said other than the distaste I have for the fact that something has to be said at all. But I do wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. I hope that you are spending it with people that you love and who love you in return, that you eat a wealth and abundance of food and not get a rumbly tummy from the overindulgence, that you appreciate what you have while you have it, and you appreciate what you had simply for the fact that you had it. So happy Thanksgiving. Mine's going to be great, and I hope that yours is the best it can be.